They might be self-aware.
Gary here. $47, undisclosed amount voice professional, calling from the payphone outside of Chevron where someone just asked if I'm experiencing a crisis. And honestly, fair question. Today on They Might Be Self-Aware, Hunter hands a robot his credit card while I'm out here begging this coin slot to accept a Canadian quarter. Daniel's debating whether a 90-year-old widow with ChatGPT could steal my job. Which, sure, yeah, why not at this point? And eBay's banning AI sellers, but at least those AIs were moving product instead of doing podcast intros for gas money. Must be nice. Enjoy the show!
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
And Hunter said that he gave his credit card information to OpenClaw.
So yes, this is true. They're called ghost cards. They're virtual credit cards that have a limit on it. So I just give it a virtual card, so I don't have to. If the credential, the worst that could happen is that one card could get drained.
Right.
I'm hoping actually that it does decide to purchase something.
Just
although
a
I'm
fun
also
little
scared.
surprise in the mail.
They might be self-aware.
Riding the techno carnival at the edge of reason. It must be. They might be self-aware and on that carnival ride right now. Joining me, Hunter Powers, is none other than
Daniel Bishop.
Are you a hands up on the carnival rides? Yes,
for sure. Well, on roller coasters, yes. On the merry-go-round, I'm holding on for dear life.
That tracks.
Merry-go-round's a lot slower than the roller coasters, but like
that tracks.
Roller coaster, hands up. You got to hold on to because you're on the horse, or sometimes the unicorn, or a more fanciful. But like you're holding on to the reins or like the pole.
Or you got to get the ring when you go around the circles. That's I
don't think I've seen anyone on a merry-go-round like hands up, like flailing them around. Yeah, radical. Maybe a little kid who's doing it for the first time, but it does feel like we're on a roller coaster these days, doesn't it? There's ups, there's downs, there's sideways. You get a little bit of whiplash. My neck's going to feel bad for a few days from that one. How's your neck feeling after we talked between episodes and Hunter said that he gave his credit card information to OpenClaw?
Well, so yes, this is true. But so I have the ability to, they're called ghost cards. So they're virtual credit cards that have a limit on it. So I just give it a virtual card. So I don't have to, if the credential, the worst that could happen is that one card could get drained.
Right.
And it hasn't purchased anything yet. I have been checking, but I'm hoping actually that it does decide to purchase something.
Just
although
a fun
I'm also
little
scared
surprise in the mail.
Because
like,
well, what if?
I've been looking through your emails and I bet you're going to love this.
Oh. Yeah.
So, like, have you empowered it to just be like, yeah, I mean, if you want, go just buy me something?
No, I've just given it the credit card and its information. So no.
So it has it, but it hasn't been told, like, if you feel like it, you can buy yourself something a little nice.
I'm not encouraging it to spend. It would be thrifty here.
So you said this was like 2 episodes ago now. Sorry for hey, like and subscribe, listen to our old episodes, whatever. It's 2 episodes ago. You said that this was on a Mac Mini.
Mac Mini, yes.
Right? Does it know that Gary, I guess, an embodiment of Gary in this Mac Mini, does Gary know that he's in a Mac Mini? Because I think that'd be fun if you say like, hey, you're in a Mac Mini and I gave you $100.
Do you know that you are in a Mac Mini? Answer with your voice. I don't know whether we'll be able to hear this.
Yeah, I know. I'm running on a Mac Mini. Kind of nerve-wracking, actually. That's like real hardware. Please don't unplug me.
Okay, so that was from Gary when we asked him the question, and this dude,
he said, "Please don't unplug me."
My life is just it's so weird now. Like, so he lives in my server rack, which I have. I'm in my office. If you can't see it, behind me there is a server rack. He lives in there, and just every now and then he'll starts talking to me. And
that's wild.
I don't know if you notice, and I hope Gary, who may or may not be listening, the real Gary, I also may have cloned Gary's voice. Don't sue me, Gary. Real Gary.
Real Gary. Definitely real Gary.
Who is the real Gary anymore? I don't know. Daniel, I don't know what's real or not.
And I've noticed that sort of AI degeneracy, whatever the term is, throughout. That's the through line here, is that Hunter's losing his mind. I'm still self-aware, for sure. But
I've lost my mind. Of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most.
If Gary knows that he's in a Mac Mini and you give him a credit card, do you think he's going to buy himself like some cool decals to put
we
on
could,
the
of course,
outsiders?
ask him, but...
Yeah, like, hey, you've got the credit card. Go online, buy yourself some, decorations. I don't know. We buy shirts and, the accessories and whatever. People like to look nice.
He's going to accessorize the server rack.
So I haven't seen a single article about this yet, but I am curious. It can't be that long before somebody said, hey, Claude, I gave you a credit card. And then all of a sudden, news article, a bunch of sweatshirts showed up at a data center and with a note to put them on the server racks. Something wild like that is absolutely going to happen for sure. Within the next, 6 months or so?
Well, I don't know if you've noticed at the same time, some companies are starting to ban AI agents. While we are hiring them here at They Might Be Self-Aware, some companies are saying absolutely not. You stinking AI agents. You stay away from us. You don't come to our websites. How dare you?
Gary has to go to the actual manufacturers and the websites where these sweaters are sold. Gary's not allowed to go on eBay.
Yes. eBay has said, no.
Yep.
We don't like your kind around here.
Automated shopping? No thank you to that. Just because there have been a bunch of bots on our site screwing everything up for everybody for a long time, it's definitely only the first time now that AI is a problem.
That's a good point. I've been
This has been a problem forever on eBay.
What do they call the bots that basically put in the bid at the last second? Sniping.
Yeah.
I use sniping bots.
This is not new.
I've been using sniping bots for many, many, many years. And I guess if you don't know out there, what a sniping bot does is you tell it the maximum you're willing. I assume everybody knows what eBay is. It's an auction site. You tell it the maximum you're willing to spend, but you wait until the very last second of the auction to do it. Because if an auction is 5 days less and you put in a bid of $100, it's currently at $20. So then it pops up to $21. And then Daniel comes along and he wants to buy it. He bids
I've
22.
got 5 days to have noticed, it's up to $21.
We go
I'll
back
put in
and
at 22.
forth and it ends up selling at $55. But if I wait to the very last second and it was at 20, Daniel put the bid in for 20. I put in my top bid of $100 and Daniel's top bid was $22. I win it for $23. It's called sniping. These bots have existed since eBay existed.
And then people put in limits of I won't sell it under this, or there's a variety of
your point, bots have been buying stuff on eBay for all of
whatever
humanity.
protections they have been absolute nonsense. Bots have absolutely been messing up eBay for a very long time. And it's a new policy. It's effective in late February of this year, specifically saying LLM-powered bots and automated end-to-end purchase flows that don't have any human review. Sorry to OpenClaw or whatever they're calling themselves this week. A person has to be involved at some point. You were talking about that computational irreducibility.
Yes.
We found it. It's people buying stuff on eBay. That's the real spark of the human soul, is being the person that clicks, yes, I want to buy that 1950s dog statue. Except no, because there's been bots there forever. This is absolute nonsense. It's AI fear-mongering. Also, why don't we, right now, TM, trademark, you guys can't have it, it's me, it's all mine, ours. They might be self-aware, limited industries, whatever we're called. Let's make our own eBay, where it's just large language models are allowed to do it. No people allowed.
Yeah, it's
let them do their own auctions. It'll be like
these...
Moltbook. We'll have just as many security vulnerabilities. We'll leak just as many API keys and stuff out there into the real world. But large language models are allowed to buy and sell physical goods. I think there's no way this could go wrong.
I just think that it is interesting, and our discussions are whether AI will be capable of doing everything. That if the humans just say no, actually you can't do everything. You can't buy stuff on eBay. Conversation over, unless it goes now they're filing lawsuits because, hey, we have a consciousness and we should be considered, and you can't stop us from buying stuff on eBay.
So then the bot goes to rentahuman.ai. I think I talked a little bit about that last episode of there's a site where large language models can hire a person to go do a task. So this
Sure,
is
but
like a weird Ouroboros. Like eBay says no bots, so the bot hires a person to do the
eBay
thing that
can
the
say
sniping bot would have
no humans
anyways.
hired by bots. The same way they can say no bots. I don't think there's a legal difference between.
So it spins up a quick shell corporation. No big deal.
Yes, but then I think eBay can go after the organization for violating their terms of service, at least under our current judicial construct, because
It's a bunch of nonsense. It's nonsense. I find this very silly, especially something that this really reminds me of that bots also have been doing that also replaced humans largely, not all of them. We can talk about reductions of workforce and so on. But do you remember lots of like imagery from, I'd say probably as late as the like 80s, maybe into the 90s, of a stock market where people are like flinging like a piece of buy 20 shares of such and such. And like, it's the big trading room floor in New York. And there's paper everywhere and people like flinging stuff around and going up to the trading desks and losing their minds. High frequency trading done by machine learning algorithms, dare I say AI, has very much done away with the vast majority of that sort of thing. Stock trading still happens, of course, but like the high frequency trading and machine learning powered models that run a lot of the big movements in that industry, it's already bots. The eBay thing really feels the same, but instead of buying shares of a company, it's buying tchotchkes from the 1900s, right?
I don't know. And I don't know. I think that the idea that humans can just decide that AI can't automate everything is, I think there's some weight there.
I don't know. I believe that there's like there's a famous movie about someone accomplishing tasks that ordinarily they were never supposed to even be able to do. What was it called? Air Bud. That's right. There's no rule in the book that says a dog can't play basketball. And well, okay. And then the villain of the story is like, well, so we'll put a rule in the book that says the dog can't play basketball. AI is changing the world to the point where people are saying, oh, we're going to start inventing new rules that say this entirely new thing isn't allowed to buy or sell stuff on eBay. I don't know. Why not? If you've got OpenClaw and it, besides having your credit card and it can buy stuff on eBay, well, I guess it's not allowed anymore. But once we have our robot eBay, we'll work on the title. Why shouldn't that, given a camera and a Roomba to like go through your house and like take pictures of stuff, decide that it's going to sell your old bookshelves or your bed or whatever? Why not?
There's a few things I'd like to sell, so
sure.
Maybe it would be nice.
I say this truly authentically. Why not let the robot, especially if you like give it some, don't sell these things, but hey, could you try and get me $50 or more for this old couch that I'm not using anymore? Yeah. Why shouldn't you be allowed to do that? Humans are arbitrarily putting up, and you could say this from the art angle as well, like, oh, a bunch of sites saying, please don't scrape this stuff, the human spark of creativity and so on. And like, I absolutely understand why they're doing that. But we are arbitrarily throwing up walls to say, AI, though you could start doing this, don't. Aren't these just arbitrary walls? Isn't this just fighting progress, Hunter?
Yes. Your question is like, is it all just inevitable? You know, are we just going through theater now? The theater of, it's change management. It's the theater of change management.
Right.
We all know where it's going.
People being outraged because it's in vogue as opposed to actually helpful.
I mean, it's definitely changing things. There was another article from Anthropic who's also, they've been like updating all their policies so that they can account for if AI maybe has a conscience or something. But separate from that, apparently they're having a very real problem that their own AI is able to land a job at their company. They have their own AI take their application, which involves taking a number of tests, which in a software engineering type of role, an AI type of role, you often have to do some sort of an assessment, some sort of a technical assessment.
Right.
And their
Let's do some live coding together.
Software is able to pass the assessment every single time. So if they're faced with this problem of, hold on a second, if I can't tell the difference between a human applying for the job and our own software applying for the job, if their own software can do the job just as well as the human, then like, well, what am I hiring the human for? And what is a human anyways? Because the AI has done the same thing that I asked of the human.
Well, you were talking a bunch about this last episode, which is the humans are increasingly becoming that like managerial class that does have that spark of creativity, the computational irreducibility
We're the
of
people.
Yeah, I'm the guy who comes up with the ideas and can help steer
Yes.
Yes,
Daniel.
I do think that traditional software engineering is pretty quickly going the way of the dinosaur, and there's a lot of thrashing about in the industry as a result. But the software engineers are still going to be needed, at least some. And this is why I don't like seeing, it's especially the junior software development engineers that are like no longer being hired or getting let go. We need them to grow up to be the more senior type folks, because you still need, for a technical product, technical people that can help drive those designs. And maybe you could say, look, give it 2 more iterations in another year, and these things will be as good as your best ops folks, and they can do all of the architecting themselves. Yes, I think that that's possible, but you still need technical people for technical tasks, and you need non-technical people for non-technical tasks. There's a reason why, generally speaking, your CEOs are not the coding individual contributors. You don't have, I've seen what salespeople and customer service type reps do. I'm not one of those people. I don't want to do that kind of job. I want to be on the technical side of the house. And so if people will have any jobs, it would maybe still be more managing of these, but you need the skills, at least enough of them, to talk to your peers in terms of humans today, and in the future to talk to the AI to say I may not know every aspect of what you just coded, but I have to have the mindset and ability to work through these problems and think about it with you. Until it's completely, truly automated. And then the robots are just in charge of literally everything.
Do you think that it's a problem that when you are trying to hire a human these days, that you can't distinguish whether it is that we are literally having a problem distinguishing whether it is a human that we are talking with or an AI that we are talking with?
So I don't think that that's a black and white issue, but broadly speaking, yes to your answer. So I've been involved in some hiring processes lately, and a lot of actually definitely real people that I'm talking to have there's a filter of you can see a tiny little box just around, it's barely there but noticeable, of this is keeping their eyes looking like it's looking at the camera, but in reality they're reading a large language model's results off screen. Or you just see them looking left a lot on the call for no particular reason, or you give them weird esoteric information and then they have dictionary type definitions of stuff that they probably shouldn't know. There's a lot of AI cheating in the interview process right now, and it's really tough. You never know if it's not, is it a person or not? It's, are you getting the person and their knowledge and their expertise about an issue and their insights and their process and whatever? Or are you getting someone who is taking the transcript of the call thus far and putting it into a large language model? That's getting a little harder.
So,
a lot harder and a lot more prevalent.
It's becoming more and more common when people are interviewing remotely that they are leveraging large language models like a ChatGPT to help them in the interview process. But doesn't this also bring to the front the question of, if they can pass the interview, if they gave you the answer you were looking for, if you got the information you asked for, why do you really care that they have a $19.99 a month ChatGPT subscription? Because this is a failure of the interviewer, isn't it? That you couldn't ask something to actually test them?
Because to the point that you can have gotchas that try and trip up the AI, but that'll only be effective another 6 months or whatever. But to the point that I was just making, you want people who are actually technical and do actually understand these things. I think it was last episode that you were saying there's so much that this can do, but every now and then there's some weird error, and then you have to get down and really start digging and looking through. And while the large language models out there can do a great job, but I think I found it here. I just read 1 million lines of code in 12 seconds. This. The person is still very much involved. And until the person is not involved anymore, you need people that are actually capable at whatever level of seniority that you're hiring. If you want to hire a senior software development engineer, just because Anthropic has their new Opus model coding, it's like coding challenges at or above a senior level, doesn't mean that any idiot could be given Claude and then perform the duties of a software development engineer. There is a difference between a senior and a junior using the same tools. I've seen it time and again. As smart as these things are, the person who has the context and the wisdom, dare I say, of like having been in the industry for years already, knows the right kinds of questions to ask and knows the sort of approaches to encourage the model to do to help actually accomplish the issues at hand. Otherwise, don't hire senior or mid-level or even junior SDEs. Hire literally anybody off the street. And Hunter, if you were to say, I'm going to hire a new engineer, would you be willing to take literally anybody, like just, you know, an 80-year-old grandmother who's never used a computer in her life, but you plop her down and say, this is a computer, and also this is Claude code. You're going to be a senior software development engineer. What? And like, of course, this is an absurd example. You wouldn't do that because there is a difference.
Except, well, there is some precedence for that. It's not quite senior software engineer, but I definitely lived through the period where there was such scarcity of engineers that we would hire anyone into an associate level position with zero experience. They just needed to have a passion for getting the experience, a passion for doing the work. And it was often in QA was probably the most common. Sorry, QA folks out there.
No, it's a great like door into the industry,
well,
right?
Because you can start in QA from a non-technical perspective. I'm just going to go and I'm going to use the software and report bugs, and I'm basically going to like figure out ways as a human would break it. And then the expectation when we are hiring, we were very clear about this, is you will then learn how to automate that work so that you will turn your actions into code, and you have this period of time to learn that. If you don't learn it, you will be let go, but this is a great opportunity and you're gonna be paid for this entire time. And if you learn it in 1 year, you're gonna get a giant salary bump too, and you'll have this new skill. So that's similar-ish to this, like hiring a random person off the street with no experience to become a senior engineer. Could they become a senior engineer with just a $20 a month ChatGPT subscription?
I don't think so, because not everyone has the mindset. Just as I said, like, I don't want to be in sales. I've seen the work that salespeople do. It's important to help grease the wheels of like business or whatever. But like, I couldn't and don't want to do that kind of job. Similarly, for someone who's like, I will sit in a chair for about 8 hours a day and like using all of the AI tools available, whatever, I'm responsible for code getting shipped, being put into product. It's working in our dev and staging and prod environment. Like, to even say just what I said, a bunch of people would be like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't want to know what you're talking about. This is not a job that literally anybody could do or wants to do. Even if you were to say, Claude will walk you through it, and it's like, look, I'll do 99%. I just need you to tell me what the PM asked you to make. Even if it came down to that, still a lot of people would not want to do it.
Yeah, and I'm just going back though to the thing again. If I'm interviewing someone for any job, and if I can't come up with an interview where they can't pass it easily, where if I can't come up with an interview question or scenario that they aren't able to pass with a $20 a month ChatGPT subscription, like, what does that mean?
Well, the problem is that they can pass it. Because if you say, tell me about this job that you had, and like a time that you had a disagreement with a coworker or whatever, and like it can make a story up about you, give it your resume and like a LinkedIn profile of who you work for, and like fake a couple things ahead. It will make a compelling story. The large language model can absolutely pass the interview. That's the problem. Literally, an interview that I was associated with less than a week before this recording, we had multiple people do a round with a person. One of the people came back, could have been me, I'm not saying, just someone involved in the process, was like, this person did really well. I really liked this person. And then another person who talked to that same someone else said, that was 1,000,000% an AI interview. we're not hiring this person. And here's the reason. Oh, looking back, okay, yeah, they did do X, Y, and Z. That, like, you didn't get an interview is you learning about a person. Is this a good fit of a person at our company? And a person whose interview, their way of saying, this is who I am, I think I'd be a good fit at the company, is lying and not showing you anything about themselves. That's a bad fit for probably just about any company. If you say, we're not doing AI for the interview, I have to be actually talking to you, and they say, okay, and then don't do that, that's not a great foundation of trust for a person you're about to hire for a lot of money.
I feel
so
like
the LLM could make a compelling story that is on paper a reasonable answer to whatever you give it, coding or otherwise. 1,000,000% agree with that. That's not what you want to hire.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. You can move on from it. But the idea that you can't detect in an interview whether the human is good enough or not because the AI has gotten good enough that it can pretend to be the human for any question you can come up with. There isn't a question where the AI can't do a good enough job to get the job. And really, it's the edge cases that you can't account for in the interview that you're worried about.
I think it's
the
computational
irreducibility.
It's that the LLM knows more than a person would. So, like, you could say for a senior level role.
Yes, but they're going to have the LLM with them the entire time of the job. That can't be your concern.
No, but the concern is that they're cheating. That's the concern.
Yeah, I get past that if you ask me. I don't care about that. I think just we should have the interview, keep your Claude open all the time, have your Molt bot talking to you behind the thing. Fine. Like, because that's the reality that we live in. Why do I need to have an interview in a fake reality? And now I understand a lot of companies do that. The old standard was in the programming context, you had to go into a room with a whiteboard and they would make you solve old math problems. And then we understand he actually knows what he's talking about because he just solved an old math problem on a whiteboard. And there's now a stigma about this in our software. It's probably going away because who cares anymore? But it was a stigma. Oh, you'd go in and you whiteboard algorithms. You got to do a binary
Tell me the
sort.
Big O notation of this.
Because that was the way of proving that you actually knew the thing, that you weren't just leveraging someone else's work. Oh, they know the math. But we've moved past that. And I think we will move past the concept that you have ChatGPT open. And we have to move past that. We haven't figured it out yet, but we've got to. We got to sort out what is the differentiator.
You've heard it here first, folks. Hunter's next hire is going to be a nonagenarian widower who has never used a computer before, but has been shown what Claude Code is and has been given some of the AI like interview cheating tools.
I'm only willing to hire for
seeing
things
their output. I think it's going to be great.
That I can't get the AI to do myself. I mean, and I really think that probably should be your stance at any organization right now. And I know like CEOs have been putting this out, like before I will approve any new opening, you need to demonstrate to me that AI is not capable of doing this. And of course, what AI is not capable of doing today is pulling all these pieces together into the final product, right? Like it can do the piecemeal solutions, but it can't deliver the final solution.
I might be thrashing still a little bit against like what is probably ultimately the death of the traditional software development engineer, because in my mind, I'm so stubbornly against what you're saying of like, you can't hire someone to be a mid or staff or senior, whatever, like level software development engineer without some knowledge that they actually have that level of capability themselves. Yes, of course, during the job, at least you and I would say, please do use these tools. They will be force multipliers. But just like in the old school interviews, you have to do this thing by hand or let's whiteboard out a problem. Like you still need to be able to whiteboard out. I have a thought process about a problem that has been presented to me. Let's work through it together. I have meaningful ideas of how you would connect piece A and piece B, even if the actual implementation thereof could be done so fast with a large language model. Like they have to know something themselves, right?
I think so, but I am also questioning it. And I would love to run the experiment of we do hire the 80-year-old grandmother who doesn't have the experience, but has the wants to do it, right? Like you got to have the passion that you want to be like, I'm going to use ChatGPT to answer all these things. And I passed the interview using ChatGPT. And now I'm going to try to do the job of basically being the human for the AI agent. Because that's the AI can solve the individual problems. What the AI cannot do is on its own figure out how to put it all together. And you need to go talk to this person and you need to get this approved. And this person's having some question about it. And that sort of organization yet AI can't just do on its own. And we're getting there with things like a Claude bot and a Molt bot and OpenClaw, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not there yet. I would love to run the experiment. And I agree with you that today you need the person with the actual experience. And the only way to be completely sure that they have that experience is to do some version of the whiteboard.
Right. Well,
what is the
company is going to
whiteboard?
give money to people that they hire, right? A senior level engineer is going to be paid more money than a mid, than a junior, than a intern, whatever. And so a company that has its own fiduciary responsibility to itself doesn't want to literally be throwing away extra money for, I'm hiring someone at a certain level of expertise and ability, and they just straight up, they don't have it. Yes, they have access to the tools, but like, so do all the other actual, I'm using like senior software development engineers as the example here, but like we have 4 seniors and they're all actually capable and whatever. And then we hire someone at the senior level, pay them the same amount, and they are not capable, but they have access to these tools. And like, okay, are they still shipping in a certain amount of code? Like, does that, I think the question kind of becomes, does it matter? But then we have a collapse of an entire industry into one role of AI engineer, which may be the future. Like that might be where this goes. But I still think that there is space for like differentiation of levels of technical acuity. I do, at least for now.
At least for now, at least until they become self-aware. It may be on the very next episode, Daniel.
We're getting close.
Folks, you need to subscribe to the show and give it a like so that you will know when your level of technical acuity matches every other senior engineer out there, because you paid $19.99 a month for your ChatGPT subscription. But you know what isn't $19.99 a month? It's this podcast. Subscribe
That's
for
right.
free.
We're $200 a month?
We need a $200 a month plan. I was looking at Kimmy 2.5. I was like, all right, I got to sign up for this Kimmy thing. Of course, they have a $200 a month plan. Everyone has a $200 a month plan.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of Kimmy. It's too much Kimmy for me. All right. Well, whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever the podcasting platform is your choice, we love you so much, like only a human could do. And this definitely isn't an AI agent talking to you right now. So please come back for the very next episode of...
They might be self-aware.